丈太郎。
ディ
ほう、向かってくるのか。逃げずにこのディオに近づいてくるのか。
オ、近づかなきゃてめえをぶちのめせないんだな。
では十分近づくがよい。何？ザ・ワールド！止まれ時よ！
Deja vu, I just been in this place before. Higher on the street, and I know it's my time to go. Going new, and the search is a mystery. Standing on my feet, so hard when I try to be me. Whoa, deja vu, I just been in this time before. Higher on the beat, and I know it's a place to go. Going new, and the search is a mystery. Standing on my feet, so hard when I try to be me. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Sina, and in this video, I will guide you through one of my most favorite comps, the Shaman Savage, which features 6 Shamans, 4 Savages, 4 Summoners, and 2 Trolls. Keep in mind that there are a few variations you could go for depending on the units that you get, but to keep it simple, we will be focusing on the mainstream build and save others for another video. I've decided to make this a comprehensive guide covering a lot of details, but it will be organized so that you would be able to skip the parts you're already familiar with. My goal is that by the end of this guide, no matter if you're a beginner at the game or a master, you walk away having learned something. Before we get down to business, and since this is my first video, let me quickly introduce myself. My name is Sina, and I'm a huge fan of the auto battler genre. As of now, I've spent well over 1800 hours in DotA Underlords, and I still feel like I have a lot to learn. My rank in Lord has been fluctuating around 16k MMR, but I managed to peak at 16.5k at one point. I love to theory craft, learn new builds and skills, and share my knowledge with others. On the screen, you can see different ways to get in touch with me. Now enough of me, let's get down to business. I will be dividing this guide into different sections. First, we will take a look at the theory behind this build. Then we'll highlight which units and items are important. Next, we will see how this build progresses throughout different stages of the game. Then we will structurally evaluate our build, followed by some tips and tricks about positioning. Finally, I will show you a game in which I played this build recently and explain my thought process and decision throughout the different stages of the game. If at any point you had any questions, feel free to ask them in the comment section and I'll do my best to answer them. Let's talk about theory first. The best way to start learning a new build, just like a new chess opening, is to study the theory behind it. The first reason why this build is so powerful is its strong early game potential. If you look at the early Savage units, like Magnus, Tusk, Spiritbreaker, and Bristleback, they're all 1 to 2 cost unit, and getting any of them to 2-star can secure you the early game and potentially a long win streak. Magnus in particular would allow you to play 2 Shamans, which in itself is very strong early on. Another significant advantage of this build is the flexibility it provides. It can transition well into many different builds in the case that you don't get the key units you're looking for. For example, Tusk for Warriors, Spiritbreaker for Brutes, Bristleback for Brawnies, and of course, Savages themselves have a few variations, such as the 6 Savages with a carry such as Slark 3-star or Troll Warlord Medusa. This means that you can adapt your build to what the game decides to give you. You usually don't have this luxury in many other builds, so it's a significant advantage for those high-level players who are able to switch their comp depending on their shops. In the mid-game, this build continues to dominate. If you can find an early Lycan, it's a big power spike. If you happen to find 4 Shamans early, that's also another power spike. We'll talk more about this in the build progression section, as it is very important that with this build you keep the pressure on and avoid being passive. Similar to the second point, This build is able to curve quite well throughout the game. You can continue to have power spikes as you get more units and put pressure on the lobby. This allows you to punish those rolling comps or early weak boards even more. This is somewhat more important in high MMR Lord lobbies because the current meta dictates a high paced gameplay. In such lobbies, sometimes you can finish top 3 just by the merit of having a lot of HP because of your great early and mid game. This build also benefits from most of the powerful items. For tier 2 items, you can make use of Barricade and Dragonlance to help you with the positioning, which we'll cover later. Powerful tier 3 items such as Necronomicon could be efficiently utilized by your Bristleback, Magnus, or Nature's Prophet. Fedora can give you a free brute bonus thanks to Spirit Breaker. And attack speed items like Silver Edge is also strong because of the Savage bonus. At tier 4, Refresher Shard is arguably the best item to get for Lone Droid for Double Bear. And tier 5 items like Horn of the Alpha could be game changing since it is yet another summon. Also, this build synergizes well with various Underlords. More on Underlords in the next slide, but for now, just trust me on the fact that no matter what Underlords you get, you will always have something good to choose from. That is a big advantage in any build since you're not relying on RNG as much. With proper timings, the final state of this build is scary. With many early game oriented builds, there's always this concern that they might fall off in the late game, but Shaman Savages remain strong even in the final phase of the game. What's key though is that even if you lose some rounds, the damage is very likely to be minimal, allowing you to outsurvive most of the other players. The main idea behind this build is buffing your shaman creature and let it get rid of all your problems, while your other units and summoners distract the enemies. So you have the big black dragon, which benefits from the base bonus damage thanks to the 4 summoners, as well as the damage ramp up of 4 savages, followed by the attack speed bonus of Let's Go Crazy if you chose it, and then the attack speed bonus of 2 trolls, plus the shaman bonus from the Beastmaster, which makes it if the shaman kills any unit, could be a small summon unit, it would get a hefty attack speed bonus for a few seconds. So you add all of those together, and the result is a total destruction and decimation of your enemies. Now that we've laid down the theory behind this build and explored its potential, let's discuss what units you really want to get as early as possible in this build. Lycan is definitely one of the strongest units in the game. Both him and his wolves deal a lot of damage. In fact, I believe without an early Lycan, this build is unable to succeed because the momentum would be too slow. So I'd say he's a very strong indicator to whether commit to this build or curve into something else. If you do get him, he allows you to win streak and get to those all important high levels as fast as possible to get Lone Droid and to complete the build. Of course, if you never find a Lone Droid, you'd never be able to complete the 6 Shamans, so no wonder he's a Q unit, but what you want to do is to get to level 6 and 7 as fast as possible with good economy so that you have more time to find him. That's why it's so important to have a good early to mid game so that you can do this with a high enough HP. As other players complete their builds and or find their 3 stars, you will at some point start to lose rounds, which allows you to use those free rolls at high levels in order to find Lone Droid. I've put Spirit Breaker last because you can live without him, but in good lobbies, a lot of players will pick Barricade or play Heartless Hunter with Enthrall. This unit helps you counter these boards because of his charge. The stun effect is also fantastic against any board and buys time for your units to get mana and release the zoo army. Basically, if you have other savages like Tusk or Bristleback for the savage bonus, you'd want to eventually replace them with Spirit Breaker 2-star when you find it. Barricades and Dragon's Lance are going to help you immensely with the positioning of your shaman. If you found them, great. If not, it's not the end of the world. It just means that you have to put more effort in positioning properly to make sure the shaman is spawned in a relatively safe position. We'll have more info on that in the positioning section. The great thing about this build is that it works with a lot of Underlords. I personally prefer the Let's Go Crazy of Hobgen because of both the attack speed and the stun is also quite nice against boards in a box formation which is about 90% of the time in my lobbies. Enthrall and Golem are both good alternatives. The little archer demon summoned by her is considered a summon unit and synergizes well with the alliances, and could surprisingly do a lot of damage. The bonus damage from her active ability on the entire army provides a lot of value, and you should be able to win the enthrall if the shaman is still in a good position. Golem variation is also valuable because it's still a summon unit. The only issue with the golem is that it has a very long charge up time, and the fact that it seems to arrive mostly when it's too late. But this build has a lot of summons who can stall the fight long enough for the golem to come crashing down when it matters. Last but not least, Happy Hour Jewel is a great addition to the Zoo army. Not only is it one of the tankiest units in the game, Happy Hour can make killing an even little measly lesser trained a nightmare, all the while your shaman is sitting safe in the back line and ramping up damage. Having this flexibility over the Underlords is fantastic because you can get some value no matter what the game gives you. In terms of priority, I would say Let's Go Crazy first, Enthrall second, and then Happy Hour, and lastly Golem. Happy Hour is very close to Enthrall and might just be better, but I don't have enough sample size to confidently say which one is better, but they should both do fine. Whenever I'm trying out a new build, I'm often overwhelmed by all the different decisions I can make. For example, when to level up, when to roll, what are my power spikes. Understanding how the build progresses throughout different stages of the game mitigates this issue by simplifying the game and giving you a good framework to know exactly what to expect and look for. For brevity, I will only focus on the main line of this build, but keep in mind that there are many other lines to curve in and out of this build. As you get more experience with the build, you will be able to play around and find other lines to play into this build. Now, let's focus on the main build. Round 1 to 10 is considered early game and arguably the most impactful phase of the game. Decisions here have tremendous impact on the rest of the game. Initially, you'd like to get an early 2 shamans on the board with Magnus and either Nature's Prophet or Enchantress. Nature's Prophet has priority because he has better stats, also his Trends and Shaman bonus provide a lot of damage. At level 3, thanks to Magnus, you only need one other savage like Tusk, Bristleback, or Spiritbreaker to complete 2 savages. This should already be a strong board in the first few rounds. Winning early rounds is important because 1, it enables you to go for a win streak and snowball, and 2, it puts the losing players in a position where they have to use their free rerolls and potentially spend more gold in order to gain advantage later on. They might even opt to go for a losing streak, and having these weak boards early on helps you get an easier win streak. Once you have this base set up, you want to level up to 4 as fast as possible to have a higher chance of hitting the Lycan while having at least 10 gold for the interest. An exception for skipping interest is if you already find an early Lycan. With Lycan, it is a good idea to just go level up to 4 even at the expense of losing interest, because it is almost guaranteed that you will win streak and compensate. At level 4 with Lycan, you would have 3 savages and 2 shamans, which is quite strong. If you're lucky enough to find a 4th savage, it's a very strong play to use all your gold and get to level 5 to get the 4 savages going. I've never seen this board lose if it's on pace, so continuing the win streak is almost guaranteed. Level 5 offers a big power spike with 2 shamans, 4 savages, and 2 summoners on the board. This is a very tricky situation because it only requires 20 gold to get to 6, and with all the accumulated gold from the win streak, it's very tempting to just jam levels and put any unit in to keep the streak going. But this might not only be a non-optimal play, but quite possibly a huge blunder that can show its nasty consequences down the line when you need a lot of gold at high levels to level up and get a power spike. With no alliance upgrade being available at 6, you're unable to get any significant power spike. As a result, it is a much better play to instead stay on level 5 and save up economy for interest. Depending on the matchup RNG, you might even be strong enough to keep winning against the weaker boards for free. In fact, It is even more beneficial to lose some rounds at this stage to get free rerolls and complete your pairs. Losing your winning streak here is insignificant because you've already made use of the gold in a meaningful way and you can eco back up. So optimally, you want to wait until it's round 17, save up economy and free roll if you lose, and then pre-level to 6. At level 6, as I just mentioned, there won't be any power spike by the added unit. Instead, the board strength could increase by completing any unfinished pairs, such as Lycan 2-star. As soon as you find the 4th Shaman, though, in the form of Beastmaster or Treant Protector, you want to rush to level 7 aggressively, even if it means spending all the gold. We'll call this variation the normal route, and there's another route that I will explain shortly. In the normal variation, level 7 is a huge power spike with 4 Shaman, 4 Savage, 2 Summoners. At this point, you'd have to think carefully about your positioning because the Shaman uses range attacks now and should be spawned in a safe location. We'll discuss positioning in detail in another section. At this point, all you're really looking for is Lone Droid and the 6th Shaman in form of Beastmaster or Treant Protector, and free rerolls help with that. As soon as we found Lone Droid and the 6th Shaman, we want to aggressively level up to 8 using all our gold in order to get 6 Shaman, 4 Savages online. If Lone Droid is still missing, we keep chilling at 7, free rolling on the lose rounds, and save up as much gold as possible, even more than 30. I've had games where I've had 50 gold at this point, until round 25 to pre-level to 8. The other route is when you high roll a Lone Droid at level 6. We'll call this variation the high roll route. In this variation, we can already have the very powerful 4 Shaman, 4 Savage, 2 Summoners on the board at level 6. If that's the case, you should save up gold and level up at round 21 because you want to go to level 8 as fast as possible to put 6 Shaman and 4 Savages on the board. High rolling a Lone Droid at round 6 is such a huge find in this build because it almost guarantees a top 2 placement, but keep in mind that it's not very likely to happen. At level 8, if you found Lone Droid already, you should have the very powerful 6 Shaman, 4 Savage, and 2 Summoners online. In this scenario, it is a good idea to start picking up Shadow Shamans since he could give us the 4 Summoners at level 9 and set the stone for 2 Trolls at level 10. It is very unlikely that you'd have enough gold, 40 gold, to rush to level 9 at this point, so you can eco back up until round 28 and put in Shadow Shaman or any summoner if he's still missing. If by a small chance the Lone Droid is still missing, you should start to lose rounds as other boards finish their builds and become stronger. Use the free rolls to help find the Lone Droid, and don't be afraid to reroll any excess gold, but don't lose interest. If you know the term blacklisting and use it, it can help you find your desired units more consistently, but explaining blacklisting is out of the scope of this guide. And in case you don't know about blacklisting, you should really look it up because it's a very important mechanic, and there are already good tutorials on the internet about it, so do look them up. At level 9, assuming you found Lone Droid, adding the 4th Summoner offers a relatively big power spike. As mentioned before, you really want to find Shadow Shaman as your 4th Summoner because he enables 2 Trolls at level 10. If you happen to find any other troll in the form of either Batrider, Dazzle, or Troll Warlord, keep them on the bench and just save up gold until you have enough gold to get to 10. At level 10, you put the final piece of the puzzle in, the 2 trolls. As mentioned before, Batrider and Dazzle are okay, but can be replaced as soon as you find Troll Warlord. If you've managed to get to this point with a relatively good HP, then you should be set to get a first place finish. Now that we know more about theory, key units, and progression, let's evaluate this build. I'd like to form a structured evaluation by answering these questions. If in the future we have guides about other builds, we can answer the same questions and compare. First off, I would say the difficulty for this comp is rather high. The reason is that you must have a good understanding of many aspects of the game including momentum, positioning, when to roll, when to level up, and being able to carve out of the build in case you don't find the shamans or key savages. This to me sounds like a lot of decision, and that's why I'm rating it as difficult, because it's not as straightforward as, let's say, Heartless Hunters. Once you get a hang of it, though, you would be able to make these decisions without as much effort. If you've never played this build before, expect to lose some MMR as you learn to play it. Try to pinpoint where it went wrong and make adjustment next time. I would say the biggest reason why it might fail is not having a good early to mid game. Is it forceable? As with any other build, no. You need to have the right start for it. But in non-lord lobbies, it's more viable to force it because it's more likely that other players also miss their timings or have relatively weaker boards. In high MMR lobbies, you would quickly be punished as players to find their power spikes much quicker if you give them time. Does the build depend a lot on RNG? No, and that's a big advantage. There are a lot of items that make it stronger, but you can live without them. You can make good use of any Underlord choice that you get. It's also not exactly a meta build, which means you're more likely to find your desired units as they are usually uncontested. It doesn't rely on 3 stars as well. I would say finding early Lycan and Lone Droid is the only RNG factor, but if you have a good early game and get to high levels with a good enough HP, you would mitigate some of that RNG since you have more time to find them. Does it require a good early to mid game? Absolutely. That's a bit of a disadvantage because if you happen to get unlucky and end up with a lot of pairs early game and miss your timings, it can quickly crumble and then your game is already destroyed. But we also discussed in the theory section how this build can transition well into other builds. So if you don't get the desired shops, you can always switch it up to something else. Being able to recognize these timings is an advanced skill that comes with time and experience. Tier level, I say it's A tier if played right. I haven't rated other builds yet, so I wouldn't rely too much on this information. I think this build has a lot of potential and could be a tier with the right timings, and it is fun at the end of the day. So, what is this build strong against? Even though Heartless Hunters have been a staple on the meta for so long now, this build can deal with them quite well, especially thanks to the Spirit Breaker. It's important that you stay on the pace though, so that you put pressure on the lobby and force the HH players to not have an easy time. I only find mages the direct counter to our build, but it is only in their final state that they become scary. A developed mage board might have a lot of 3 stars and a Keeper of the Light on top to blast all your Zuru army in a blink of an eye. Other mage variations like 3-star Spirit Mages are also quite strong versus us because the triangles are bound to get a lot of value. If they reach that final Exodia stage with all their 3 stars and Keeper of the Light, it's usually GG. But my argument is that if you play the early to mid game right, you will put pressure on the entire lobby. And in doing so, other weaker boards are forced to spend their gold more aggressively to survive. This would amp up the pressure even higher, which is a nightmare for greedy builds going for 3 stars such as mages. If things go right at that stage, mages won't have a lot of HP to work with, and so it's very probable that you would be able to out-survive them by just the merit of having a high HP due to your strong early and mid game. As an advanced tip, if you see a mage that has a high roll and has a lot of HP and 3 stars, it's probably a good idea to start picking up Black King bars and mechanisms and pipes because it's guaranteed that they will survive until the very end. It might still not be enough, but that's the best we can do. And also do your best to keep the lone droid alive because he would heal the shaman. These are all the worst case scenarios and should not happen very consistently. So again, the key point is to have a strong early game and force mages to make inoptimal decisions due to pressure from the whole lobby. The bottom line is that having only a single developed comp as a direct counter is one of the greatest advantages of this build. Now let's talk about positioning. Positioning is so crucial in this build because you're heavily relying on a single unit, the shaman, to dish out most of the damage. The basic principle is that your positioning should be in a way that the shaman is protected and be able to attack as soon as possible to have impact and amp up its damage. Lone Droid also needs some protection because his shaman bonus links his health and the shaman's together, making it that whenever either damages an enemy, both lives steal for a percentage. This is key especially against mages where there's a lot of AoE damage. I've had games against developed mages where a protected lone droid with the help of a pipe out heal the mage's damage and let the dragon survive. This is also why we mentioned having a dragon lance or barricade is so useful in this comp. In order to understand the positioning, the first thing to know is which unit is going to summon the shaman throughout the game. There is a deterministic order for this and a series of tiebreakers. Let's go through them one by one first. Firstly, whoever has the highest star level would spawn the shaman. For example, if there is a 2-star Magnus and a 1-star Nature's Prophet, because Magnus has a higher star level, he will always spawn the shaman. As another example, if there's a 2-star Enchantress and a 1-star Lone Droid, again, Enchantress would spawn the shaman because she has the higher star level. If there's a tie, meaning all the shaman units have the same star level, then it is spawned by the unit who has the highest tier, aka cost. So if we have a Magnus and a Nature's Prophet who are both 1-star, then Nature's Prophet gets to spawn the shaman because he's a 2-cost unit, whereas Magnus is only 1 cost. Another example, if we have a 2-star Lone Droid and a 2-star Beastmaster, Lone Droid would spawn because he's a 4-cost unit and a Beastmaster is only 3 cost. If there's still a tie, meaning all the shaman's units have the same star level and 2 of them have the same highest cost, then whoever is positioned more in the back line spawns the shaman. For example, if we have a 2-star Magnus and a 2-star Enchantress, they're both 1 cost, so the determining factor is who is more in the back. If we assume they're positioned like this, then Enchantress will summon the shaman because she's in the first row, whereas Magnus is on the second. Another example could be a Beastmaster 2-star and a Trin 2-star. They're both 3 cost. If we have this positioning, then Beastmaster will summon the shaman because he's more in the back line. He's on the second row compared to the Trin who is on the third row. If there's still a tie, meaning all the shamans have the same star level, 2 of them have the same highest cost, and they're both on the same row, then the last tiebreaker is whichever unit that is bought or upgraded the latest. This means sometimes you have to keep track of which unit you bought or upgraded to 2-star last. For example, if you have a 2-star Magnus and an Enchantress who are positioned on the same row, and assuming that we've upgraded Enchantress to 2-star later than Magnus, then Enchantress summons the shaman. Similarly, if you have a 2-star Beastmaster and Trint, both 3 cost, positioned in the same row, granted that Beastmaster was upgraded later than Trint, then Beastmaster is the winner. So now we know exactly who summons the shaman at the start of the fight. Let's talk about a few formations. I will give you a few ideas, but you can always go to the free training mode and experiment against different builds and positionings. Against Heartless Hunters and Mages, assuming Lone Droid is going to spawn the shaman, then this positioning spawns the shaman directly in front of them and behind the barricades, which could be good because he will start attacking right away and is protected by the barricades. If they're on the other side of the board, you could mirror the exact positioning on the other side. If there is an assassin board and assuming Trin summoned the shaman, we could position like this. Assassins would be fighting everything in the back line, all the while shaman would be attacking them from a safe position. Assassins are definitely tricky because sometimes assassins will jump to the free square and makes it that another unit spawns the shaman. So sometimes you have to make 2 free cells around your summoner. Against other comps, you can probably use any of the 2 positionings. Basically observe at the start of the fight where your shaman is spawned, and if he's able to attack consistently and then make adjustment if there were any issues. All right, so that was a lot of text and information, but I want to congratulate you for making it this far. If you found it too overwhelming, then I would say the most important part is understanding the build progression and avoid losing gold to non optimal plays. So, build progression is where you want to focus on. Now, with all that out of the way, let's finally get down to some gameplay. All right, so this is the first game, and it's a Lord lobby. The average MMR, I don't quite remember, but I think it was around 15.5. These are some of them are very good players. So I will try to skip the parts that are not very relevant, but I will try to explain my thought process and decisions. So round one, I'm picking everything up to keep my options open. But as you can see, having a enchantress and tusk is the build progression, part of the build progression that we talked about. If we find a Magnus, then we already have that base set up. So let's skip the round because it doesn't matter if you win or lose, but you will probably win if you're lucky, and that can make your win streak faster if you find another shaman in the next turn. So for the items, I'm looking probably for vitality booster here, or if I reroll, I'm looking for void stone to put on venomancer or nature's prophet if I find one. But re-rolling isn't guaranteed, so I'll just pick a vitality booster. And vitality booster is really good because it allows you to win streak early on. So right now I didn't find anything relevant in terms of Shaman Savages, but I'm keeping my options open. I'm picking some mages in case I go a mage route, and that's what you want to do. You want to like in general in any build, you want to keep your options open because you never know what kind of shops you get next turn. So you want to be as open as possible. Okay, so moving forward, now I'm in this shop. I'm finding 2 enchantresses and a Magnus and a spirit breaker. This is a holy grail of a shop at this level early, because it's all what we've been looking for. If you remember the build progression, that this is exactly what we're looking for early game. I can already have three savages, and if I find a lichen, that's my 4th one. So this is perfect, and it can be very strong early on because of enchantress 2-star as well. So as soon as I see this shop, I'm tempted to try this build, and that's what you want to do. You don't want to force this. If you're learning, it's okay to force, but when you're trying to climb, you wanna go this route when you see a shop like this early on. It's a strong indicator that you can go for this build. Because again, you need a good early game. So I picked those up, and then I'll probably sell anything else next turn to make interest, because now my plan is kind of set. And re-rolling, I found 2 more tasks, and at this point, and a nature's prophet. So at this point, I'm already committed, because this is just too good of a start for this type of a build. This is just crazy. So next turn, I'm going to sell everything I don't need in order to make interest, and pick up nature's prophet, because he allows me to have more shamans. And also, if I find a 2-star nature's prophet, then I will replace enchantress with him. So these early rounds, I'm going very slowly these first rounds, because it is very important early on when to commit to this build, because once you commit and once you have a game plan, then everything else is more simpler, right? You just find lichens, you find other shamans, and then you know what to do. But early on, it's difficult to make these early decisions. So that's why I'm going slowly through them. So right now, with this type of a board, I'm bound to have a winning streak, because this is too strong at this stage of the game. You have two shamans and two units that are 2-star and a savage bonus. So this is unbeatable early on. So I'm at this point I'm confident that I will win every single round early on. So um, and now with the items, I pick Dragonlance, because now I know my game plan. I know I want to go this build, and I mentioned Dragonlance is very good in this build because it helps you a lot with the positioning. So I picked the Dragonlance, and I don't care for Tusk 3-star. I don't even pick it because I want to I want to, like 3-star doesn't matter. 3-star Tusk doesn't matter. So don't be tempted to 3-star something, because it only slows you down, and it doesn't you don't require 3 stars in this build. So what I did here was I leveled up to 4 because I'm already confident that I will win, and I want to find Lycan faster. So I leveled up to 4, put in another Savage, even though it's not very strong, but it just you just wants to find Lycan faster. So you go to 4. And I explained this in the build progression as well. If you need a reminder, just go back and watch that part again. Okay, so right now I want to go to 5, but I don't want to all in. And because now I have 20 gold, I have a good economy, I'm getting interest. I want to save up gold, and I will level up in 2 turns when I can pre-level, so I don't lose a lot of economy. So at this point, I have a winning streak. My economy is safe. I have 2 stars. I don't have a lot of pairs. It's all working out. And these units on my bench, they're irrelevant. They're just there to be there. But I will sell them as soon as I need some gold. So I'm picking picking Spectre because I want to have a higher chance of finding 3 costs such as Lycan. And with this shop, now I find a Treant Protector as well. And that is very good because now one of my other shamans is also found. So that will also help me later on, because sometimes you kind of need these shamans. They don't show up and it's annoying, but if you find them just even 1 star, then you can put them when you need them. But right now I it's better to keep these 2-star Tusk, because he even though I can put 4 shamans in, I don't want to, because it's a 2-star Tusk. It's a very strong unit, and I don't have to get 4 shamans. All right, so let's see the next shop. And now so it was a turn to pre-level, right? So if you see me, so it's round 7. I can pre-level to 5, and I do that right here because I want to pre-level so that my next turn shop I have a higher chance to find 3 cost units, and so for Lycan and other of Beastmaster, for example. So I go to 5 here, and now put in the Trint and so at level 5, yeah, you have this strong spike, and we discussed that in this in the build progression, that if you find the 4 shamans, you want to go to 5 and put them in. If I had 4 savages though, I would have put 4 savages instead of 4 shamans at level 5. But because I didn't and I have a winning streak, it's still a relatively good power spike because the bird shaman, he's quite strong early on. So I want to keep my streak going, so that's why but if I had 4 savages, I would have put 4 savages in instead of 4 shamans. Okay, so for items, I might reroll this to find barricades, but I didn't, and because Tusk had a lot of kills, and I could get some value from the cloak. So that's why I decided to not reroll and be safe. At this point, all I need is mediocre value. I don't need like a lot of value. So I just went with the safe options. Now I go to 6 here, and this might not be a very optimal play because as I mentioned on the build progression, you want to level 6. You don't have any power spike. Okay. I just put a Spectre in because he's just a strong unit on his own. But if you have, because I had such a good economy, you can see I could X9 and get 19 gold. So I get 2 interest anyway. Because I had a good economy, I didn't have to save up. That allowed me to push levels. And when you go to 6, you have a better chance of fighting Lycan. You have a better chance of finding Lone Droid, even if it's a small chance. But because I had a good economy, if I didn't have that, I would have waited until I could pre-level to 6, because again 6 is not a very strong play. Now I find the Lycan, and with Lycan I can put the 4 savages in. So now I'm pushing level because I know, because level 7 is such a huge power spike with 4 shaman, 4 savage, right? As soon as find the Lycan, I say, okay, I use all my gold. I already have a winning streak. You don't need gold a lot at this point because you will win streak anyway, and you will get it back later on. So just don't be afraid of get these power spikes when you see them. And this is one of the biggest power spikes because now all your summons are buffed by the savage because of 4 savages, and you have 2 summoners, and this is just too strong at this point of the game. So we discussed this in the build progression section as well. So do go back if you need a reminder. So now I'm still winning, and I'm set. When you have such this type of an early game, you know you're gonna have a good game. Now I just need, my plan is to eco back up and level up, pre-level in 2 turns. Go to 8 and try to find. So here you could argue that I should have sold the bristleback because I was streaming and I was a little bit distracted. I could have had 19 gold, and if I won, I would have been able to get 2 interest. So selling the bristleback was the better play here, but I was too slow there to recognize that. But it's a small mistake. So at this point, in every lose that you get is very good because you're not losing by much, but you get free rerolls and you're high level. So these free rerolls have a lot value to find the lone droid. So this is the perfect kind of a curve that you win early, But then when you lose, it matters because the free rerolls are at the right level. And look at that. I find Lone Droid at 7. That's a bit of a high roll. Usually you don't get Lone Droid as early, but it happens. So we take advantage of that. So right now, because of Lone Droid, I know that I will get the 6 shamans very soon. And when I find a Lycan 2-star, that's really good because sometimes because you're not re-rolling in this build, you might end up with a lot of pairs, but just finding them naturally is a huge value because Lycan 2-star is just so powerful in these rounds in the mid game. So it's just you could say I high rolled here, but we were set. I mean, we had a plan, we executed the plan, and we got rewarded by the game. But the important thing is that you allow yourself to have these situations where you could high roll. I could pick barricades here because it helps me with the positioning, and I did that. So now I find another tree. So again, I'm being a little bit lucky here. But these units are usually uncontested. Usually nobody goes for trained protector unless they're playing healers or shamans like me. But usually people don't do that. So I'm setting up the barricades for later. I don't need it right now. But yeah, I'm setting it up for later. Now let's skip a little bit because we don't want to dwell on it too much. But basically, right now I'm very strong, um, and I'm just and I found a Beastmaster as well. So now my 6 shamans are also complete. So what I can do here is go to 8 and replace Tusk with Lone Droid and put the 6 shaman in. So I have 6 shaman and 4 savages, and that's huge at this early. That's so good. So you can see me level up to 8, put in the Lone Droid, and I decided to replace the Spirit Breaker because he's 1-star, but I will keep him on the bench because you really want a Spirit Breaker as your 4th savage because of his stun and also against the hunters. He's really good. But I'm keeping him just to put him when he's 2-star. Right now, Tusk is doing a lot. He has a cloak. He has lots of kills. He's still very valuable. And as you can see, this is a very big power spike. I'm level 8. I have the dragon on. I have 4 savages. All my summons are being buffed by the 4 savages, and it's just too crazy. I don't want to pick Shadow Shaman yet. Remember, you can only put Shadow Shaman in at 9, and I don't have a lot of gold. I need to eco back up. I can find him later on, so I don't need to buy him right now. I will do it because I have the gold. I sold some of this stuff I don't need on the bench, but if I need economy, and right now I will sell the Shadow Shaman because I can always find him later, and also I need economy right now to get to 9. So I have 9 gold here. If I win, which is very likely, I will get the interest anyway. So I'm not selling probably my my Shadow Shaman here. But for example, if I had like 8 gold or 7 gold, I would have definitely sold the Shadow Shaman because I need interest. I need to get my economy back. But with the winning streak and having this early, and as you can see, I'm now repositioning to make sure the dragon is spawned in a safe spot. And right now, I'm sure I will win because I was on pace. It's not like I was late. If you're on pace and you get at this point early, then you are surely going to win every single round, and that's very very powerful in this build. So All right, let's skip ahead. One thing to note though is that if you're very ahead, like at this point, you might want to consider picking up Trin's Protector to go for 3 stars. If you're very ahead, if you have a good economy, you can do that. By the way, in this at this turn, I could have sold 2 Spirit Breakers to get interest, but I didn't want to because he's kind of very valuable in the end game. I could have sold the Shadow Shaman. That was a better play. Now that I think in hindsight, I should have sold the Shadow Shaman. But the thing is, I'm close to level 9. I want to put Shadow Shaman at level 9. And because I already have 1 point of interest, I didn't want to risk it and keep him on the bench, and I'm winning as well. So I'm in a good spot and I don't need to sell it. So as soon as I get the gold to 9, which would happen in 2 turn naturally, I will level up and put in the Shadow Shaman to get the 4th summoner. And Necronomicon is really good in this build because you can put it on, if you have a Bristleback, you can put it on him. If you have Magnus, you can put it on him. I should have put it on Magnus. I don't know why I didn't do that. I probably will do it. Yeah, you can. Okay, I fixed it. So Magnus every, I think, 6 seconds or so he will spawn, which is good, and his spawn is at the start as well. So that's also value. So I want to go to 9 as fast as possible and put in Shadow Shaman. I think a good play here was to sell. No, I couldn't because no. Never mind that. Yeah. So you want to go to 9 as fast as possible and put the 4th summoner in, because again it buffs everything, and you it buffs everything, all your summons, your dragon. So it's a good power spike. And as you can see, if you even lose at this point, you don't lose by a lot. It's just minimal damage. It helps you get some free rerolls. It's it's perfect because other people are low on health, but you just kind of out survive them. Okay, so let's skip ahead. And here I found the Beastmaster 2-star, and that's a good upgrade. That's his wild axes are really good, lot of damage, and he's more tanky now. So let's go ahead, and you can see these how do you say, these Heartless Hunters really have trouble fighting this build because of all the summons, right? They are distracted, they can't kill them, and also Jewel makes everything so tanky, so that even if they fight a little lesser trained, it's hard to kill when Jewel does his ulti. So Jewel is also very valuable. But if I had Let's Go Crazy, I would have picked it. So let's go skip ahead, and basically this is simple now. I just have to go to 10 and put in another troll, and I'm done. I'm looking for just 1 Spirit Breaker to replace Tusk with it if I find it. But now the game is simplified, and you could see that the build progression I discussed in the section, I just stick to it, right? It was the same exact thing, and that simplifies your game. And kind of I really like that when I play build, I'd like to have a plan. I like to execute that plan and not be distracted or have too many options. I don't know. For example, if I find a Doom, I'm like, I don't know if Doom is good in this build or not. So I would be tempted to pick it, but because I have this build progression, this plan, I know I don't need Doom, so I don't pick it. Sometimes having too many options is bad. Okay. So because of our good early game and mid game, now we have a lot of health, and we have so much time to find Troll Warlord and put him in at 10 and get 2 trolls. So I will skip ahead, and as you can see, you're just face rolling these other boards with your dragon. I will skip ahead, and by the way, with the items, I picked Cadence because Cadence provides good value for, let's say, a lone droid, even at 1 star. And if you have like a lobby with a lot of 3 stars, Cadence can be useful. Okay, so I sell the Doom. I want to have interest to get to 10 as soon as possible. Find another troll. So I will skip ahead, and as you can see, I'm winning. I find another troll. Even Batrider 1 star doesn't matter. As long as I put it in at 10, it's good. I need the troll buff. So I will level up probably next turn and put in the bat. As you can see, I pushed levels. I put in the bat. Now I have 2 trolls, and my build is complete. Now I just need Troll Warlord instead of bat, and done. As you can see, this build also, like, you continue to have power spikes. At 7, you have a power spike. At 8, you have another power spike. At 9, you get 4 summoners, another power spike. At 10, 2 trolls, another power. So it curves very well, and you have these power spikes throughout the game. And I didn't mention level 5. Level 5 is also another power spike. Only level 6 is a bit of a you don't have like a very strong power spike, but I mean, with a good early game at 6, you should already be fine. Batrider 2, just temporary, but helps. And now I don't pick up Tidehunter. Again, my plan is set. I don't need these other units. I just need to find what I want. And I pick a moon shard because later on, if I find a troll warlord, then I would put it on him. And again, these hunters really have problem dealing with us. And if you lose, then you lose minimally. That's perfect. They have 23 health. They're all in. You're at level 10 with 30 gold. They're all in at level 9 with 1 gold, and they're losing with 20 HP. You see what big of an advantage we have. That's all because we had a good early game and we put pressure on the lobby, so they are all in at this point. And right now I'm checking if anybody has Beastmasters, because I'm just picking them up because I have economy. Like, if you have economy, if you don't lose interest, just pick these 3 costs up, because if you 3-star them, then that's also another winning condition. So pick them up if you can, if you have a good economy. For example, 3-star Trint, 3-star Beastmaster, they're really good. That's another win streak. Win condition. So again, I'm winning. So I'm gonna skip ahead, and I will probably find troll. This guy has a troll too. But as you can see, you're not losing by it. It's 15 damage at this point. You have a lot of HP, and you still have a lot of. By the way, I let me. Here I picked up a Medusa. I don't want to put her in. I just want other hunters to not have her, have a lesser chance of finding her. So because I saw there are lots of like hunters and they're on their last legs, their only win condition would be to find a Dusa 2-star. And even then, we are quite strong, but I don't want to deal with a 2-star Medusa, so I just pick it up because I also have a lot of gold and try to deny them the opportunity. And that's something I always do. I look at other builds and see what they're looking for, and if I have good economy, I would try to deny them. But that's not crucial to the build. That's just something you could do to min max and have a better chance. That's just a general thing. So as you can see, this guy is looking for a Medusa. Also, one good thing is that Kaden's Medusa is not really good against us because we have so many summons. The Medusa will have trouble just killing these small units, and Cadence would be even bad versus us. So I pick a Horn of the Alpha. If you find a Horn of the Alpha, it's just too good in this comp. It's another summon. He gets all the buffs, and it's just like another dragon, basically. Not as strong, but still very good. So I'm picking up Beastmasters, and yeah, and now I know I will hit him. So I will roll a little bit, and now I find a Troll Warlord. Sell the Bat Rider. So that was an inoptimal play, right? I should have sold the Tusk, put in Spirit Breaker at 1 star, and then put in the Troll. But because I had little time, I didn't have enough time to process that. But that's something you could. I mean, Tusk is still very good because he has lots of kills at this point. He's very tanky, and he provides some front line. But ideally, you want Spirit Breaker 2 star instead of Tusk. So right now I'm in a good position. I found 2 trolls. So I will pick up the Dusa as well because yeah, as you can see, I just looked at that he's still looking for Dusa. So let's pick up Dusa. And now I find a 2-star Dusa. And this is like very funny because you pick up Medusa 2-star, but you don't play it because it's not in your build, but you just put it on the bench just to deny others to find it. And that's a bit sad because Medusa 2-star is a very strong unit, and you have a Cadence. You want to put her in, but it's not part of the build. You don't want to break the build. The build is already strong. And that's something sometimes you have to have discipline and not be sidelined by these inoptimal plays. So Dusa will remain on the bench, but right now I'm losing some rounds, but I have a lot of potential. If I find a Beastmaster 3-star, if I find a Troll 2-star, that's game changing. And yes, I found the Beastmaster, and now I'm repositioning because they are kind of my dragon was not in a good spot, and now we try to summon the dragon by Beastmaster, and the Beastmaster is really strong at this point, and he's kind of AFKing right now. But the thing is, as long as he's still alive, it's okay because he will walk out at some point, and he's just so tanky, does a lot of damage. And one of the hunters out. So now I'm against 1-on-1 with another hunter. This is meta in Lord lobbies, so you see a lot of hunters. But I think he really wished he had this Dusa 2-star on my bench, but he's still looking for it. So I will skip ahead because I win some rounds here. But yeah, the enthrall is kind of scary because look at my Beastmaster getting enthralled. Now he's not taking damage from my summons because of his 3-star effect. But still, I am relatively doing okay. But enthrall is a bit of a problem on my Beastmaster. If my Beastmaster gets enthralled, then it's a problem. So right now I'm a little bit. This is a draw, by the way, but I pick up Bloodthorn because it's good value. And right now I'm thinking about how can I prevent Beastmaster from being enthralled. And because look, another enthrall. Yes, enthrall, and he gets it. So Beastmaster 3-star is a little bit of a liability right now for me. If he was 2-star, probably better for me than 3-star because he's doing a lot for the hunter. Okay, so we go next round, and I just got a troll 2 as well, so that's also a very strong unit in this build. With a moonshard. So still, I'm thinking about how can I make this Beastmaster not kill my entire because as you can see, if he doesn't walk out before enthrall, I would probably lose. I would probably just win the round. But if he gets enthralled, then it's close. So it's one more round. If I win, I get the win. And let's see. So he's playing a little bit because he's putting his Tide Hunter right in front of my Bloodthorn. Maybe he didn't check that I had it, but he found a 2-star Medusa with Cadence. But again, Cadence Medusa is not good at versus us. The dragon is safe now. As long as my Beastmaster is safe, I'm okay. And as you can see, I mean, he also has a 2-star. How do you say 2-star Wraith King? So his board is really strong. He has 2-star Mirana. He has 2-star Medusa. He has 2-star Wraith King. This is the perfect thing for Heartless Hunters. This is their Exodia. I mean, you could say he doesn't have Barricade, but even then, I think I would have done fine. But he has a very strong board, basically. So you could see that this round, it goes a little bit wrong. Let's see. So the Beastmaster walks forward and then gets enthralled. And then he kills my entire board. So again, Beastmaster getting enthralled, I lose. So right now I'm thinking, okay, Beastmaster, if Beastmaster just stays in place, I'm better off. I put it in the corner. But again, if I put it on in the corner, he could get hooked. That's also not good. Pick another Bloodthorn is always nice. I don't want it to get hooked. I put the Dragon Lance. Hold on, let's see. Pick more Dusas. Let's go for Dusa 3-star. Let's see my items. I put the Dragon Lance on the Enchantress to make sure Beastmaster is boxed in. So I'm intentionally boxing my or making sure Beastmaster is AFK so that he doesn't walk out and get enthralled. So he's AFK in the corner, but that's good for me. Sometimes you have to make these weird decisions, but they're better for you. Because look, the shaman is going ham and Beastmaster is just chilling, just looking around. But the shaman is taking care of everything. Right? I don't need the Beastmaster. So that was the game, and I think I had like 1 million or 900 k damage. yeah, 983, almost a million damage. And it's because I had a very good early game. I had a very good mid game, and then I followed my plan, the build progression. So you can see that this can work out, and but you don't wanna be distracted and make stray away from the progression, so to say. But sometimes you might get unlucky and not find these units, but because they're uncontested, usually happens. All right, so I'm gonna. This is one game, and it's already been 40 minutes, so it was probably too long. But I think it's important that I show you also in visually how the build progresses, rather than just rather than just saying it in text and in theory. So I think it's also useful to do that. Um, all right. So just to prove to you that this was not only a one-time thing, I will show you another game, and here I will not go into too much detail, but I will just show you some highlights. But as you can see, this is a very good lobby, by the way. These are all like 17K caliber players. And it's another good indication that this build can also work at high level. So again, if you see my board, I have that base setup. I have 2 savages, I have 4 shamans, and I have barricades, so I have the base setup. And if you look at my gold here, I'm win streaking. I have a healthy economy, so I will just go ahead and explain a few things here. So right now, again, level 6 is not a huge power spike, right? So I don't want to rush to 6 just to put any unit in, because that's not a strong play. Instead, I want to keep chilling at level 5 and get more economy, and try to, even if I lose, that would be beneficial, because now I can get free rerolls to find lichens. I really want to find the lichen. So skipping ahead, as you can see, I'm not spending my gold and not leveling up too early. I find another tusk, and I find a lichen here. So with that, I can put four savages, but because I messed up here, I didn't realize I had to put Spirit Breaker in to get the 4th savage. So yeah, I just realized it too late, but still, you're okay. You can do it next turn. I have 40 gold. I don't wanna level up yet. Again, 6 is not a power spike, so you wanna keep chilling. And because of my good early game and the win streak, I don't have any rush. I already have a lot of gold. And as you can see, I'm I'm saving up my gold, because I want to have a lot of gold, so when I hit those shamans and need levels in order to put them in, I have gold to do that. So now I find another Beastmaster, and now, even though I find Tusk, remember, I'm picking Tusk, but I'm not re-rolling only for Tusk. If I find him, I high rolled. But if I don't, I'm not gonna just re-roll for Tusk 3-star. He's not that important. So right now, I'm not leveling up. Look at my gold. I have 59 gold. I'm not re-rolling. I'm not um even though you might be tempted, hey, I have all these tusks. I can get Tusk 3-star if I re-roll. Doesn't matter. I don't need Tusk. He's gonna be out of my build anyway. If I find him naturally, good. But if I don't, I'm not gonna reroll. I want to save up my gold, because I like you could argue that why don't you level up here and put in another Tusk? Again, putting another Tusk is not a huge power spike. I want to have bigger power spikes when I want to get to 7, and I can do that as soon as find another, for example, shaman. I can go to I can push levels with my gold. So as you can see, I have 60 gold, still not rerolling, not leveling up. I want to level up at pre-level next turn, so I just keep my gold. And as you can see, I'm still I have 65 gold. In classic mode, you get more interest if you have more gold, but I think it's a much better play to not level up here and use your gold, because again, the idea is that you want to level 6 is not a power spike, and you want to have healthy economy so that you can get to high levels, and you would have still gold, and your economy would be okay. And if I lose rands here, that's fine by me. I have these pairs on my board that I can free reroll and hit those. So losing is not okay. But as you can see, I just pushed 2 levels because I want to put four shamans in, right? But look what happened. Now I can push 2 levels at once and still have 25 gold before the round starts. So I will have over 30, even though I just pushed 2 levels. So you can see why saving up your gold and not going to 6 too early is such a strong play, because now I have healthy economy, and um, I have my power spike. I have now um, four savages, 4 shamans. I get the bird, and this is just too good. Now look at my gold. I still 38 gold, still too much. And now I'm picking lichens up. And by the way, now that I have such a good economy, I might consider picking up these 3 cost units like a Beastmaster and try to 3-star them, because I have such a good economy. I have time, I have economy. So if I find a lot of them, I can try to 3-star them. But it was only possible because we saved up so much gold, and now we have a healthy economy. And as you can see here, I'm picking up these 2. Even though I already have a pair, but I'm picking them up because I have so much gold, right? I can afford to get them. So I'm gonna skip ahead and go to this point. So here still we have these guys, but look at these shops. They're really good for me, so I can get to 3 stars if I want to. I'm gonna skip ahead, and I still have a good economy. And I'm not gonna show you the build progression because it's still the same. But the difference is that I'm not finding lone droid, and I just want to show you that if you don't find lone droid, but if you have a good early game, it doesn't matter. You have time to find him. And as you can see, if I find another lichen here, which I did, I can just put 2 lichens at level 8, because I do want to go 8. When I can pre-level to 8, I do want to go 8, but then having a lichen 2-star at 8 is also good. He summons more wolves, and he's also a strong unit, so it works. And I'm not finding any lone droids, even though but it doesn't matter because we already have a strong board. We have time to get him, and now I have this set up to get to go for 3 stars as well. And I find my Trint. Now I just need lone droid to get 6 stars, but because this is also a good lobby, players kind of hit their timings now. So the unit pool is becoming more shallow, and so you have more chance of finding these 3 stars. But my gold is healthy, and everything is working out here. So now I'm finding more trees, and I think it's out at round, yeah. So I'm gonna skip ahead, and as you can see, this round I will hit 3-star BM, and I still don't have a lone droid. I haven't found a lone droid, but I don't need to because Beastmaster 3-star is also very good. So uh, I'm winning rounds, and I just have time to find this lichen, and I will at some point find lichen for sure. And I'm gonna skip ahead. I'm finding more trees, and let me go ahead and skip to this part. I think this is where I have 8 trees now, and when I hit the yeah, so I can reroll here because I have such a good economy. I can reroll some to find either a Londroid or this 3-star, and I'm 2 off Lycan 3 as well, so I'm in a very good spot. And I'm going to skip ahead and show you just the final state of the game. Um, so at the end, look at my health. I'm 28. Everybody's so low, and the dragon is carrying as always. Um, and I will just show you the final rounds. And as you can see, I found the lone droid, so the dragon is online, but I haven't found the um the shaman, the shadow shaman. But the final round, I think, is next round. So I'm against this very developed kind of brute poisoners build, and as you can see, I also messed up with my positioning a little bit because I didn't realize. So I have 3-star Beastmaster and Trint, but the problem was Beastmaster was in the back row, and I forgot about that. So you can go ahead and watch and see the problem in my. Let's see if you can spot the problem in my positioning. But this was a very good lobby, and we managed to get first by playing solid Shaman Savages, and the the premise is that if I think the most critical part was that I didn't level up to 6, and I kept my gold, and I was able to use that saved up gold later on when I needed better power spikes, and that resulted in a very good economy that we could go for all these 3 stars while having a healthy economy. All right, so this is my final example, and I'm not gonna go through the early game this time because it's somewhat similar. But basically, we've reached the final state, and this is also a very good lobby with lots of good players. And as you can see, we don't have any 3 stars. Our base setup, and we've reached level 10. I have 40 gold. I have 66 health. I have a Medusa again on bench 2-star because again I don't want him to find a Medusa 2-star. So that's another time that we did that. And I'm just gonna show you the final rounds, and you can you can see the very final rounds here. So he has Heartless Hunters. He has a Medusa with Cadence, which is this is very controversial. You really hate to see it as other comps, but the good thing about our comp is that we don't care about Medusa Cadence. It's actually benefiting us that she has a Cadence because of all the summons. So as you can see, we are doing very fine, and that's why I consider this to be very strong against Heartless Hunters, especially because of the pressure you apply throughout the game. And I think next round will be the final round. And with this much health and this much economy, I mean, you can't lose because if it even if it goes longer, you will find your 3 stars, and then it would be over. And so this is another game that um, this build has succeeded, and it's around 16k MMR again. So you can see that It's a consistent build. Uh, if you play consistently, especially the early rounds, then you would be able to have a good placement. And we're done. I just realized it's almost 90 minutes. Whew. But I don't think it's a bad thing. I could have skipped a lot of parts, but I think if somebody's just started playing the game, then having a detailed, comprehensive guide like this is much more useful for them. A huge shout out to the entire Underlords community, all the streamers, all the Twitch viewers, all the people who are posting memes on Reddit, all of you who are watching. All of you are the reason this game is still breathing. Which brings me to my final word. Valve, if you're out there, somewhere listening, you've made a beautiful game. No auto battler can compete with Underlords in terms of user friendliness or UI. You've made this amazing game. Why are you abandoning it? If you expected more players, we'll update the game, put in season 2, and I promise all these auto battler players from other games will eventually end up here. Or just communicate with us, please. You have a loyal community, but please, we need a sign of life right now. I hope you hear this, and I hope 2021 would be a great year for DotA Underlords. All right, everyone, that's it for me. Until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, and smile. Goodbye.